The program, and we have with us the executive director of Integrity Wash Liberia, Hera Edu. He is here with us, and what we will be looking at this afternoon on the program, we're going to be looking at a recent report that the institution date, and it has to do with talking about revenue potential of this quarrying. That is, some of you in your area, you notice that people are crushing rock in your area. Uh, what is the revenue potential of that? We're going to be talking about it. How can government raise revenue from that? And I'm sure we are going to be talking about the community benefit as well. So, and we're also going to be talking about sand mining, not only the crush rock and all of that, gravel as well. People taking gravel from your community. Um, you know there's revenue potential for that. So we are going to be talking about this report done by Integrity Watch Liberia, and know exactly what did the organization found as part of this research that the organization was involved with. So let me say, Mr. Edu, welcome to the Bumper Show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to join you. You have a lovely studio. Let me say you guys are doing extremely well.
Okay, thank you for the commendation, and you are welcome. But first of all, I want to know, because hearing about Integrity Watch many a times, I'm sure some of even our listeners will want to know what is Integrity Watch. What does the organization do as part of its function? So just take the time to let our audience know what is Integrity Watch.
So, Integrity Watch is a Liberian civil society organization. Our primary mandate is to contribute to the fight against corruption because we come from a backdrop that we believe that corruption can be won.
Okay.
If corruption can be won, if we actually leverage on a number of things. One, with the advancement of technology, a lot of things can be done to improve the fight against corruption. And one is what we call digital technology.
Okay.
So one of the key things that we have done, and we're supporting government and other CSOs, including international organizations, is to develop for the first time a digital platform that enables any citizen in this country to report corruption,
Okay.
which is called Talkie. If you
Talk it.
Yeah, Talkie, Talkie. It's
Oh
actually
yeah,
talk it,
talk it,
but
talk it. The normal
colloquial way.
colloquial way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you pass around the city of Monrovia and parts of the country, you see big billboard with Talkie, using mobile phone and so forth. So that is one of the product, one of our flagship program that we've done. We're supporting the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So if you go to LACC now, you see big large screen TVs there, where all the corruption reports that are coming, people are reporting, is being viewed live in real time at the LACC, and LACC is also using those kind of information to investigate corruption. And the whole idea is that we want to put ordinary citizens in the center of the fight
Okay.
against corruption, because the more citizens report, either in your community, in your little village, in your little office, wherever you find yourself in this country, you can report corruption using the digital platform, or Talkie once you have a phone. So you can have, if you have a smartphone, you can use it to report Talkie. If you have ordinary button phone, you can also use it to report Talkie. Now the good thing about it is now even if you don't have money on your phone, and if you have a button phone, you can send free SMS. It goes straight to LACC on this Talkie platform, and you don't need to have money. We're hoping that eventually we can transition to a point where you don't need to have data on
Okay.
your internet. And the platform works what we call both offline and online, meaning that there are places in the country where people don't have access to, internet. And it's very difficult to have access to internet. So we innovating and finding other means in which people can use our platform to report corruption.
Mm.
We believe that if we work collaboratively, us, civil society, the citizens and government, we can fight corruption, because corruption cannot be weed out by just one group of people, meaning the government. If we sit back and say, oh, the government will fight corruption, we will never win corruption. It means that we all have to play a part in fighting corruption. And so we're doing that as one of our flagship program, working with, at the moment, we have general corruption. By the end of this month, we're going to have specific areas of corruption, which include the forestry sector. So we've been supported by UNDP, the Swedish government. Now we're bringing people now within the forestry community to be able to report corruption that occurs in the forestry sector. Hopefully, very soon, we'll also be looking at the health sector, which will be coming on live, where people go into hospitals, they say no medicine. It has become a big issue.
Sure.
Where government provide medicine, international partners provide medicine, and
reported it ends in the
it vanishes in
yeah.
thin air and all of that. So these are all critical issues that we think affect citizens and affect our society, where we are championing and pioneering first ever innovative technology that citizens can use to fight that. So that's one aspect of just the work that we do.
Okay.
We also work on what we call fiscal transparency and public participation around the budget.
Okay.
So for the past 3 years since we were set up, we've been doing a lot of work around budget analysis, trying to mainstream, to make sure that we can look at the budget from a gender perspective, because the budget might be fiscal instrument, it might be just talking about money, but the budget also affects men differently, affects women differently, affects different demographics differently. So we're working to see how do we formulate budgets that actually impacts upon all of us. I always say that, look, if you go to any country, if you want to see how the country values its people, look at the budget, because it is the budget that determines who gets what. And the distribution of the budget, how much of it goes actually into human development, how much actually goes into capital and capacity development, human capital. So the budget is everything.
Okay.
Yesterday, and maybe that will be leapfrogging into our discussion today.
Yeah.
Sure. Yesterday, the World Bank did release a very scary report. Not that this information are not known, but it also sort of accentuate.
You're talking about the poverty assessment.
Yes, where it talks about nearly 1 million Liberians live in extreme poverty.
Yeah.
And 2.5 million of Liberians live in absolute poverty. For me, these are staggering numbers. And when we say 1 million, 2.5 million, we're talking about people where you and myself know we interact daily or every day, in the community, at every level of society. These are people where we know personally, people where we engage personally. So for me, these are real, putting the human face to these numbers, that these are scary. That if you have, half of your population living in extreme and abject poverty, absolute poverty, these are things that should worry all of us. And I think that is part of the reason why we think that our research report could not have come at a better time.
Yeah. And sure, we are going to talk about that report, but I want you to talk a little bit about something that probably is not getting out of it's not getting in the public yet. And it was this report you also did during the election, talking about election spending. And like your report claim most of the parties that were part of the election violated the campaign financing. I'm saying this because there's also by-elections coming up now in Nimba and Grangeda counties, and I'm sure you will be keen on these elections as well to know whether there will be violation of campaign financing in these elections, because these are things that will strengthen future elections. Are you already taking steps about these elections? The by-elections.
Well, we've taken steps to also look at these two by-elections, because we, in a way, we think that it also tells a story, because we did release this report. We've shared it widely in the media and so forth. And one of the things we're hoping to see whether there will be some improvement. We don't want to be a little bit naive to believe that overnight all these problems will be solved.
Sure.
But we think that post-election, these are things that we need to now sit around a table as government, as citizens, civil society, the media, and all of us election stakeholders. These are the issues. There are very fundamental problems, issues that are affecting our electoral system. We also very happy that we just received or we just signed a new grant being supported by the US government to work with the National Elections Commission to see how we can strengthen its role in ensuring electoral integrity. That is going to be an 18-month intervention that will build on some of the work that we have done as part of monitoring political party campaign finance work that we've done. But yes, we will be looking into the NIMBA and the Grand Jidaba elections, and we're hoping that we can also document
Okay.
to see how parties and candidates are going to comply with net campaign finance rules, because rules are rules until they can be changed. And for us, this is what makes our democracy better. When all of us who are stakeholders of the election, comply and conform by the rules of the game, I think that is what is most important. So yes, we're looking forward to following that, and hopefully we will be sharing what we find out, not just with the media, but then also with the Elections Commission, and work with them to mitigate some of the challenges.
And what I'm thinking about is that not all, I might be wrong, but not all of these candidates might just understand the rules now. Probably you overspending, but you just don't know that you overspending. So what are some of the areas that you think they can guard against, as a means of not violating the financial
The campaign
spending for
finance rules.
yeah.
Well, I totally agree with you that there is a deficit of information when it comes to these regulations or rules around elections, where sometimes even the candidates themselves are not, abreast with many of these election laws and the campaign finance rules. So that in itself also creates, a challenge in terms of people complying with this rule. There is a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to raising awareness around our laws. Most of the time, we pass these laws, we formulate these regulations, but that is where it stops. Once it's passed, it's printed into handbills, or the policies are formulated. Not much is done in terms of popularizing these things, and I think that we need to have short, medium, and long-term approach in terms of how we deal with these issues, because it cuts across. Not just on election, it cuts across everywhere.
Okay.
Where our citizens, the larger population of our citizens, are not aware of many of the laws and policies that are our instruments that we are supposed to govern ourselves with. So we need to have a multi-pronged approach in terms of dealing with this. That is, how do we work with our young people at the schools, where possibly we make these very important constitutional mandates and requirements becomes form part of our curricula.
Okay.
Where at the very early level, citizens understand why they need to vote, their responsibilities in voting, and what are the preconditions in voting, and the different steps and processes that involves around even casting the vote. And I think these are all things that we need to now have a conversation where it becomes part of our education system. So we don't have to wait every 6 years to say, okay, we're going to send people for just a month or two to educate people, which sometimes is not enough or is not inadequate, and because of many reasons, lack of resources and so forth. So we need to be able to harness and leverage on what exists already. What exists are our school systems, and the school systems are the means through which we can actually promulgate and advance awareness around these laws and regulations. So yeah, there are ways around it, but I think it all has to do with we sitting down as a country and having a conversation and see the appropriate way in which we can do this.
Okay, so having said that, let me remind our audience that you are listening to the Bumper Show. On this first segment of the program, Integrity Watch Liberia is our guest. The organization's executive director, Hera Edu, is here with us, and he's here to talk about something specific, but we've been talking about some other issues concerning the organization. So let's turn our attention now, Mr. Edu, to this recent research that you did on this quarrying and this sand mining in Liberia. According to you, it has potential for revenue generation. We all know how eager our government is to reach this this 1 billion mark when we talk about our budget. So you have already said that this sector has the potential to boost the revenue of the country. But first of all, I want you to tell us what led you to this research.
So, as an organization, we work on three main issues. Uh, we, as I mentioned earlier, we work on issues around corruption, anti-corruption, and developing innovative tools and mechanisms to fight corruption. And I clearly articulated some of the things that we're doing.
Okay.
We also work on governance and decentralization. That is, how do we get our citizens involved in decision-making processes, and that is, linked to most of the work we do around budget and fiscal transparency. And the third one is what we call, uh, you know, illicit financial flow and taxation.
Okay.
So,
And this one falls.
under where we're doing this
Okay.
research, because we believe that, and not just only in Liberia, we believe that Africa has huge potential to optimize and accelerate development if we take advantage of the only thing that God has given us, which is beyond the human capital, which is the natural resources that God has blessed us with.
Okay.
It is these resources, in my opinion, if we take advantage of these resources, we can change the narratives. I mean, countries like Liberia should not be talking about 2.5 million people wallowing in poverty. I mean, it is, in my opinion, this is not only just shameful, but it's unfortunate that in the middle of huge wealth, when I say huge wealth, natural resources that can transform this country, you still have 2.5 million in absolute poverty. For me, this is mind blowing, and I think it should worry every leader, either at the community level, at the subnational level, at the national. This is something that should worry everybody. Now, it is against this backdrop that we believe that, look, if we have so much wealth, right? Why are we so damn poor? We're talking about a budget we've been struggling for the past 20 years to hit 1 billion mark. And the reason why we've not been able to hit that 1 billion mark is for a number of reasons. One, we've not developed innovation in terms of expanding our tax bracket. Also, the way we negotiate our fiscal terms when it comes to natural resources is horrible, right? We give so much away. So we say, look, let's start from somewhere, right? We're blessed with so much in terms of like the natural resources, which is sand, which is rock. I mean, I know how. I mean, I have been to every village in this country, and I can tell you the potential of sand and crushed rock. You know, to build roads, you need crushed rock. You need sand to build houses. Any infrastructure you can think about,
Of course.
you cannot do without these two very important elements. And so, if these two very important elements are the linchpin to accelerating development in this country, then why are we not tapping on? Now, we look at it, the data from the LRA.
Okay.
We look at from 20. We just look back from 2020 to 2021, and then we look at the revenue data. Now, the revenue data, if you look at 2020, the LRA data shows us that with all the same money and rock crusher companies operating in Liberia, all of them put together, they paid 109,000 US dollars in terms of in taxes
During the whole revenue period
of 2020, right? This is LRA data I'm quoting, right? 2021. That
can you please say that again?
Yeah, I'm saying 2020.
Yeah.
The same mining, this particular sector.
Yeah, sand mining and rock crushing.
Yeah, they paid 109,000.
All of the companies,
Yeah.
sand, rock crushing companies,
paid 109,000 in terms of revenue.
US dollars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then in 2021, that also, it doubled, nearly doubled, and they paid 203,000 in revenue. For some reason, that revenue came down a little bit in 2022, and they paid 184,000 in revenue. Then in 2023, they paid 210,000 in terms of revenue. When you combine all of this company from 2000 and 2020 up to 2023, all the revenue combined did not reach $1 million. They paid $706,000 US.
706,000 US dollars
$706,000 US.
over a
So
period of 4 years.
yeah, so for us this was quite intriguing. So we said, okay, now we wanted to delve a little bit into looking at the operation of sand mining and rock crusher. We just did a sample of two counties. We selected Monserrado, and then we selected Margibi. And so we did a sample of uh, 7 companies. I can list some of these companies. So we're looking at these companies include what we call Evergreen Sand Mining Beach, the Fergashu Quarry, the Grassfield River Sand Mining, the High Investment, the Lichi, the Light Investment, and the ZNC Rock Crusher. So we look at these 7 companies, and then we did a study. And our study research methodology was just pretty simple. That is, having at every quarry or mining site, having at least 2 researchers at every sand mine. And they were doing pretty simple mathematics, arithmetics,
Okay.
right? Checking, I mean, they were documenting the total amount of sand truck that leave the quarry site from morning, from start of day to the end of day, and the blade, the load of blade that goes into each truck and so forth.
Okay.
And then over a period of time, we did it for the rainy season. Sometimes it is, the production level, the volume of production goes down.
Yeah.
And then during the dry season, that is the peak of production. So we did our sample for the rainy season. We sampled the peak season, and then off peak season, and then our data shows that all these 7 companies combined. We can do the disaggregation of the data company by company, but for lack of time, I'm just going to just lump them up.
Okay.
So just within the sample period of 2 to 3 months, with documenting this data, it shows that per annum, on a yearly basis, just these 7 companies alone raise 15,285,751 US dollars 41 cent.
Hmm.
15,285,751.41 with these 7 companies combined.
Okay.
Now, this is the total revenue all 7 companies generate per annum.
Okay. So you did the 7 companies, but there are more than 7 of these companies.
I mean, there are more than 7. I'm
Okay.
just saying.
Okay, so
this
you
is the
only-
sample that we took
yeah.
from Monserrado. I mean, that's Monserrado and Margibi. We didn't even consider
Okay. So the 7 companies
Gankebam,
just
where
with-
you have a huge, rock crushing company
Mm.
that is, on a daily basis, the volume is so massive. So we did not even consider that. Now, we also know that these companies are paying some small royalties to the communities where they are operating, small fees to the communities, and they have other social responses. So if you apply, 15 million, and we say, okay, now they have overhead costs. So let's take the very extreme, and then you apply that they spend 40% of their
out of the 15 million.
out of the 15 million, on servicing machines, fuel, and all of lubricants, paying overhead, paying their staffs, and so forth. You take 40%. Normally, companies want to maximize profit, so definitely they wouldn't want to reach that margin. If you take 40%, we're talking about $6 million US, as their profit margin. Now this $6 million US as their profit margin. If you apply the 25% corporate income tax, that's $1.5 million US per year. But then if you juxtapose this with the early data that we shared, that
from the
LRA, that even 4 years, with all the money put together, they raised a little over 700,000. They paid a little over 700,000. That clearly shows a big picture that we are grossly under collecting. I mean, just in 1 year, this is just on the very low estimate. We could be raising something around 1.5 million just for 7 companies.
But the calculation you did is what LRA should be using, right? The calculation you did to reach that 1 point something million, which should be the tax from the 15 million out of the 40% that you already took out for the company expenditure and all of that. the tax that should be coming based on that 25% calculation you did, that should be
Well,
LRA
the LRA
calculation.
they got their own policies in terms of they have the 25%
Okay.
or the minimum 2%, whichever is greater that they use. But the LRA also has a policy that they call for voluntary declaration of these taxes. So in order to inform real proper tax collection, it has to be informed by data, by this kind of data.
Okay.
We know that there's the capacity to actually do something similar, really actually doing a daily count of truckload and sand load of cross rack and so forth. Perhaps maybe the LRA doesn't have that resources to be able to do that, and that is where organizations such as ours come in to provide those evidential data.
So what are
that
you
can now
sensing?
inform.
Are they under reporting these companies?
Well, I mean, the data shows that grossly under reporting,
Okay.
right? And we're collecting far lower than what we're supposed to collect. So that means that there's a huge potential in optimizing revenue just from the sand mining and quarry industry, that could spur, the revenue portfolio, the revenue envelope, just by leveraging on sand mining and quarry. If we take across the country,
Sure.
we're just talking about just 7 companies in 2 counties.
Sure.
Right, and that's showing that 7 companies in 2 counties are making roughly 15.2 million US dollars in terms of revenue. And so if you take out their overhead and all the other external expenditures that including machinery, fuel, lubricants, and all of that, you still have a sizable percentage of that money, that amount that you can still tax, and you can have enough revenue compared to the drop in the bucket 5,000 US dollars that these companies pay, all of them put together. And so we think that this is something that we bring to the table, and we think that the government now needs to be able to look into this.
Have you shared this work with the LRA already?
Oh yes, we in conversation. So yesterday at the validation, we had LRA there. So at the very level, we've had preliminary just acquaintance meeting with some of my team members with the the new DG.
Okay.
We are planning a more bigger formal meeting where we share some of the in a more substantive way in a policy brief that actually outlines the issues, the challenges, what needs to be done to be able to optimize resources looking at this area.
Did you take into consideration the benefit, let's say the corporate social responsibility on these communities that these 7 companies work in? Did you manage to talk to community dwellers considering that as well?
We did talk to a number of, we talked to about 62 community, beyond the actual data collection of our researchers, tracking this information. We also did, we sampled across different company managers, front machine operators, cashiers, community people, community leaders. So we talked with an array of stakeholders, and their views were actually reflected in the qualitative aspect of the study that we did. So that also showed that yes, many of the companies are doing incredibly well in terms of engaging the communities, and they are providing some level of community benefits to the community, either by grading the roads and doing other smaller initiatives at the community level. That doesn't also negate the fact that there are a lot of challenges also in many of the communities where these operations are taking place. Community people talked about environmental issues, environmental degradation, pollution, and other issues came up. While those, we don't want to minimize the importance of that aspect of the research, but I think for now we want to focus on one aspect of the research. We will come to the other aspect, which has to do with addressing some of the issues that community raise and mitigating them, the impact of the operations on the broader community, the pollutions and so forth. We will come to that. But for now, our emphasis is on how do we leverage on the huge revenue potential
the revenue
that this industry provides or offer in terms of the government, boosting revenue generation, taking advantage of the sand mining and the quarry sector.
You are listening to the Bumper Show. Hero Edu is the Executive Director of Integrity Wash Liberia. He's our guest on the first segment, looking at the revenue potential of the quarrying and sand mining sector in Liberia. The organization has just done a research. That's what we are discussing, and we are also discussing what the organization found as part of what they were looking for. But Mr. Edo, we will open the lines so you can
Mhm.
interact with the public. But I know, yes, you already had an initial engagement with the LRA, and probably your report or your work will be shared with the LRA for consideration. But what are some of the key recommendations that you have lined up in this, report that could speed up the process to help this revenue generation that we are talking about?
Well, we've made quite a litany of recommendations as part of this research.
Mm,
I mean, key among them is the need for LRA to sort of review whatever mechanism that they are using to impose the tax, levy taxes on the sector. We're calling for more stringent monitoring,
okay.
of the sector, because look, I keep telling every time I say this that look, these resources are depletable. I mean, we shouldn't kid ourselves. These resources one day they will finish. The gold, the diamond, the iron ore, all of these things will finish one day. One day, perhaps maybe 100 or 200 years from now, we'll be
Mm,
talking about. I mean, the resources, even if it's going to be there, it's not going to be the same quantum, right? And so, what are we doing to make sure that the resources benefit not just the generation of today, but even generation that are yet to come?
mm.
And so, we need to be able to, I mean, be more practical and pragmatic in terms of the way we do some of these things, because if we don't do that, I mean, we don't take the next 200 years and we'll still be quoting World Bank figures of 2.5 million people still living in abject poverty
Mm.
if we don't take practical steps to make sure that the little resources that God has blessed us with, so that it benefits the generation that lives today and the one that is yet to come. And it might also interest you that this was not just the only research that we also did,
Okay.
right? I mean, we did also do what we call uh, study on tax incentives that has been given,
To these companies as well.
not just mining and not just same mining, but we were looking more at the mining sector.
Okay, the mining sector.
You could, I mean, you're very much knowledgeable in terms of the contribution of the mining sector to GDP. The percentage of the revenue
Yeah,
to the
over
budget,
the sector is
and
said
so
to
forth.
be one of the drivers of
Of
GDP increase. So
precisely in the economy.
yeah.
So our interest, because I keep saying, look, I strongly believe that by now we're not supposed to be talking about $700 million budget here. We're supposed to be talking about, I mean, a minimum of 2 billion. That is the minimum benchmark that we should be talking about. If we are to be able to have in the fiscal space to be able to fix some of the things within the health sector, the education infrastructure. I mean, if you look at the PAPD, we had a revenue, a financing deficit of well over 1 billion to be able to finance the SWAP PAPD, right? We have a new arrest coming live, and where are we getting the money from to finance the development agenda that will be articulated in the arrest program? We will, you know, if we don't take some of these measures where we can grow our budget, I mean, it will be one development agenda after the other, and the story and the song will always be the same.
Okay.
The better we can grow our budget, I think the more we stand a chance. If the next study shows that we've given out 138.2 million in tax waivers,
138.2 million.
in tax waivers,
Wow.
just within the mining sector alone.
Hmm.
I mean, who does that? I mean, in tax, we could have a whole day discussing about the pros and cons of tax waivers, right? Whether we're looking at the service sector, we're looking at the mining sector, or we're looking at the manufacturing sector, which by themselves they are not bad. But our study shows that if you compare how much we've given in tax waivers and how much benefit we've accrued as a nation, it's negligible compared to what we've given up. So these
Hmm.
are all issues that we're looking forward to engage both the legislature, the Ministry of Finance, and the LRA on how we can reform some of these things and like I said, grow our budget.
And the Minister of Mines and Energy has already, expressed his willingness to bring some change in the sector as well. So I'm sure your engagement with him, it might be helpful as well. But let's get our, audience participation now. You want to call us, you can do so on 0880-514-0960-777-835-862. We are here on the Bumper Show this afternoon. You want to be a part of it. You have, your say to be a part of the program. You can call us on those numbers 0880-514-0960 and 0777-835-862. Some of your communities are the communities we are discussing right now, because you have, a rock crushing a company in your community or sand mining company in your community. So I'm sure is part of what we are discussing, and you can have your say as a matter of fact. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. You call from Kidmao, Lami Kamara. Make your point, Lami.
Where we don't know how much budget, even the same to cover towards our country. They give you a lot of money. Every time the plastic, so for any other development we change. So we really want to know. Thank God for our dollar at all research. This is what we're putting government to country. Let all of things change. They are really good and we are suffering.
Okay.
Down to enjoy mining company. Everything we are suffering here.
Okay. Lami, thank you. Lami, thank you so much for being a part of the program. Let's hear from another person. You have to get away from your receiver.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Mr. Kofa calling from Christopolis.
Okay, where is Christopolis?
Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in the conversation.
Yes, have your say.
Well, we have to go deeper, because even apart from the same money, when you go under the water, I know the people get some resources of water under the water. Just imagine, just for the same money, you see the church and see what the brother is importing. What happens when you go under the water? Because I know that machine go under the water, you down up. I don't know that even get under the water. That's what me.
You wanted to check that one too, eh?
Yeah, but when you under the water, when you go under the water, the car, that particular machine, because many places are facing that place. I've been construction doing it.
Okay.
You understand me? I go there to buy sell, anytime I go to buy sell, I see what happens when people go down there. And see, and you know that thing's going, go way on the ground.
Okay.
See, I know when you come in, my son, who come in, all of them come along with the self. Not there with them. So I say, it's a
Okay. Thank you so much. Let's take more of your calls. Yeah, sorry for that. Let's hear from this person. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, my name is Paul S. Golo, calling from Railway Market.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, I'm not getting you too good.
Are you getting me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before we benefit from our resources in the country, when the people come and then we go through agreement, we need to have people on the field that we carry on monitoring and evaluation, because when the people say they come for iron ore, 20 in our iron ore. So that's my suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have so many resources in our iron ore.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ido, sorry. You mentioned that the LRA will need to change its mechanism, how it check these companies, the amount of sand they're taking out, the amount of rock, so they don't under report what they are doing. That's one aspect of your recommendation. Are there more that you think if the LRA or if other government institutions can work on, definitely this will improve?
Well, yeah. So I made mention of the role of the legislature.
Okay.
Because the LRA only implements what the law says.
Okay.
And then for you to be able to have, effective tax collection, you need to reform your laws to make sure that the they give rise to some of the recommendations that we're talking about. So the role of the legislature also is very key in terms of making sure that we have reforms that addresses some of the issues that we're talking about. We need to also, strengthen the capacity of the LRA. It needs to be better resource. It needs to leverage on technology. Look, the world has gotten to a point where, there's a lot that can be done and can be achieved in terms of efficiency with the revenue collection and revenue mobilization. And I think we should leverage on some of these innovative technologies that are available, that are being used in other countries.
08805140960777835 Hello? Hello? Okay, this person just left the line. You can keep putting your calls through on those numbers. You will be live here on the Bumper Show. We're talking about something that might just be affecting your community as well. Hello? Well, we seem to be having a low problem with this line, but let's hear from this person. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, is it LBS?
Yes, you're live on the Bumper Show.
Okay. Thank you for the show this afternoon, and thank you to your studio guests. I've been listening for a time and listen to the explanation. I think people like this, or these kind of entities, these kind of integrity institutions should be also hired by the government, because the government can't do all. The government, they really don't have the power to employ almost everybody. Each company comes in, they do an evaluation, and the company is responsible to pay the XYZ every month or every year. But people don't make follow up. They can't get those people because they put the power to pay those people, so they will not employ much. But if they get a contract with these people, I think it will generate enough revenue, because from what I see demonstrating, it's very good for us. Seriously.
Okay. All right.
And before I grab the line, I'm working somewhere around the Academy Boulevard intersection where you need to go to the circle where the mangrove is. And the people here, they also gave order that the EPA said that nobody should break, but the people breaking the mangrove, my brother, I guess saying they're not part of the discussion.
You want to report there?
The mangrove as we speak, they're breaking the entire mangrove.
Okay, you said around 70 seconds?
Yeah, when you leave from Boulevard Junction.
Okay. All right.
We need to walk down the circle here, the mangrove.
Thank you for your information. Hope the folks from the Environmental Protection Agency, hope some of them are listening and will take the necessary action on that one. Let's take this caller, then we take off. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're live on the program. Tell us the name and where you call from.
I'm Benedito calling from Tommy County.
Okay. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, my brother, I want to appreciate our fellow who in the studio. You see, that is a good initiative for the level of the government to support the idea. Because right now, as he said, 10 to 15 years, the resources will go. We will still remain in the poverty position.
Okay.
So I appreciate that the legislator, I don't.
Well, the line dropped on this caller, but Mr. Edo, we are at the end of this program now. But I first of all want to ask you, before we take a parting comment, how seriously you want this research to be considered?
Well, we think this research report should be, the reference point, particularly when it comes to sand mining and rock crusher business in Liberia.
Okay.
Because, as I keep emphasizing, you see, the sand mining and rock crusher holds huge potential, not just in terms of revenue, but also when it comes to development. Because you can't build a road without. I mean, look at all the roads that have been constructed and that will be constructed in the future. The companies will need rocks, right? Building homes and any kind of infrastructure you can think about, you still need sand. So it holds huge potential, but then also we need to make sure that the issues around the revenue, the government can get the fair share of the revenue. I mean, I'm not sure whether you've seen the draft budget, but it speaks volumes that we are in a tight fiscal space.
Sure.
We are in a tight fiscal space, and no country can develop by relying on donors and aid, because donor aid is not sustainable. You cannot plan well. I mean, even your own home, who plans with their friends' pocket money, right? I mean, you have to be able to make real progress. You need to have your own resources to be able to, decide on where you want to put resources that will impact you the most.
Okay.
So, and donor funding are good, donor support is good, but we believe that we on our own have the capacity to raise our own money.
Sure.
And for us to be able to do that, we need to be able to take care of the wastage, the wastage that is in the system, the leakages in the system, issues around tax avoidance, tax evasion, under reporting. All of these are issues. Then it comes to the last point, which is the unnecessary waivers that we give to these multinational corporations. Right? We need to reform our laws, and we need to look at the whole policies and the laws around how the revenue code and other laws grants waivers to many of the companies that are doing business in this country, because we don't have the capacity to monitor the waivers that we give. We give so much waiver on petroleum products to many of these companies who are operating. I just made mention of the 138 million plus that we've given in waivers, right? And who monitors to make sure that even the waivers on petroleum products, that some of the same importation of these petroleum products don't find themselves in the commercial market. There's a huge, issues around the waivers and so forth. So we need to now begin to have a rethink in terms of how we grant these waivers, and the corruption around the waivers and so forth. So these are all very important issues that I hope that the new administration would take consideration of. We're looking forward to aggressively engage the legislature. Fortunately, we have what we call the bipartisan legislative caucus, which comprises well over 25 members at both Senate and the lower house. That makes up the African Parliamentary caucus on IFF and tax, which we are supporting and working with. We
Okay.
hope to engage them more. We hope to engage the Ways, Means and Finance, the Public Accounts Committee, the Committee on Mines and Energy, and even the Ministry of Mines and Energy and other agencies, so that we can have a reflection on some of this data that we've generated and see what sort of action we can collectively take to make sure that ultimately Liberia becomes the winner in all of this.
Okay. So you want to take a meaning, or you think just take a meaning and maybe say your parting comment?
Well, we want to, we've said a lot in terms of the picture, the very grim picture that the data presents. And that itself tells a story all by itself, that the time for action is now, that we either take advantage of the resources that we have now or never, because I believe that this particular administration holds huge potential, particularly so because it campaigned on the mantra of good governance, transparency, and accountability. And we think that the time to make sure that we grow our national budget is now. If we are not able to do that, we will never be able to address our development initiatives. No amount of development programs that we come up with will be successful in the absence of resources. Resources is key to financing our development, and so we need to be able to prioritize how we grow our budget. And so, on that note, we also want to say thank you to those that have been supporting our work, particularly the Tax Justice Network and NORAD, who have been graciously financing most of our initiative around tax reforms and tax justice, and scaling opportunity for tax governance in Liberia. So thank you also for giving me the platform. And we look forward to having another forum where we could actually also delve into some of the nitty-gritties of the data and how some of the recommendations can be improved and can inform policy reforms in Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hero Edu. He's the Executive Director of Integrity Watch Liberia. He's been our guest on this first segment of the Bumper Show. And we want to say thank you, Mr. Edu, for accepting our invitation. And thank you for the work you continue to do for our country. So on that note, we are going to take a break. When we come back, then like I told you from the start of the program, we be talking to our second batch of guests, and we will be looking at the trade treaty. There is so much happening around that in Liberia. So we're going to be talking about that on the last segment. Keep listening to the Bumper Show. We'll be back after this break.
As they keep coming,
they keep dropping, but we keep standing still. Yes, we are the one.
ELBC
99.9.
also Grangeda County, right? Okay, so we're still here on the Bumper Show and just touch base in Grangeda County. Marie Nyinabo with that track CNJ to get us, kind of inspire as we go to the second segment of the program. So our guests are here right now with us, and they are from the Liberia National Commission on Arms, Mrs. Vivian Dogbe is the executive director. She's here, James Coco Chie. I'm sure you listening, most of you know who he is, but yes, he's now the communication and outreach associate at the Liberia National Commission on Arms. They both are here with us, and together we're going to be talking about this 4-day workshop that is taking place in Liberia, and it's all surrounding the Arms Trade Treaty. Liberia is, as a matter of fact, part of this, but they're going to be telling us more why this workshop is being held, who are the participants, why Liberia, chose to hold this at this time. So that's what we're going to be talking on this final segment of the Bumper Show. Madam Dogwe and Mr. Chi, welcome to the Bumper Show.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, and you are welcome. I want us to start by telling the audience, because I'm sure it was the small arms commission before, but now we're hearing now that is the Liberia National Commission on Arms. So meaning that some changes have been made probably in the shortest time. But would you tell us, probably what the change that was made, and in fact, what is the function of this commission?
So thank you. Thank you. My name is Vivian D. Dogbe. Like you rightly said, I'm the executive director at the Arms Commission. So the commission was initially the Liberia National Commission on Small Arms.
Small arms, yeah.
Meaning that our mandate was limited then. In 2022, we repealed the act establishing the Small Arms Commission to establish the Liberia National Commission on Arms,
Okay.
making the commission the national competent authority to supervise the implementation of the Arms Trade Treaty. And in that same vein, we also amended the Liberia Firearms and Ammunition Control Act to domesticate the Arms Trade Treaty. So we are a state party of the Arms Trade Treaty
Okay.
now.
Okay, so meaning that you not only restricted to pistol, now you can talk about
So all conventional arms.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's start by talking about this workshop that is ongoing in Liberia. When did it start?
It started on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, the 18th of March.
Okay. So probably it will be ending tomorrow.
Tomorrow is a 4-day event.
Okay. So tell us about it.
So it is the first Pan-African workshop to support the universalization of the Arms Trade Treaty. And Liberia was selected to host this workshop and also organize this workshop because we are the torchbearer of the Arms Trade Treaty. We are among the first few countries in Africa to domesticate this very important treaty. But let me inform the audience what is the Arms Trade Treaty.
Of course.
The Arms Trade Treaty is an international instrument responsible to regulate the global trade in firearms. or conventional arms. So the treaty is very, very important. There are key provisions of the treaty that speaks about preventing diversion, meaning that redirecting arms not intended for certain countries or location. And then it also talk about putting in place systems to properly control the transshipment and transfer of firearms, that is import and export of firearms.
Okay.
And also the treaty mandates state parties to report annually on your different efforts in implementing the treaty.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
go ahead. Okay, so far, that's what we should be knowing about. Mr. Chi, you wanted to add something before I interrupted?
Basically,
thank you.
she already, lay out what the treaty is all about,
Okay.
and it is one instrument that Liberia has taken hold of in terms of championing the Arms Trade Treaty in Africa, and
Okay.
so that has attracted this Pan African workshop to Monrovia, especially Liberia, owing to our efforts, and so it has attracted many countries to come in to learn from us as to what are the lessons learned, to achieving this domestication of the Arms Trade Treaty within our Firearms Act,
Mm.
and so
So I'm thinking, why did Liberia, or why was Liberia selected? Is it because we fought war and all of that?
So the whole idea was proposed by Liberia
Okay.
about a year ago. The Arms Trade Treaty Secretariat located in Geneva have this assistance program for state parties. So state parties will apply for assisting through proposals, bringing our idea that we assist in implementation. So Liberia proposed this workshop, and because of what we said the workshop are going to accomplish, I mean, encouraging more African states to domesticate the Arms Trade Treaty. The ATT Secretariat, after a really thorough review of our proposal, accepted to fund this project. So we are implementing this project in collaboration with the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research, UNIDER, also located in Geneva. But the commission that is on site, meaning we are here, we are the one who did all the planning and invited over 50 delegates from across Africa. So
Mm.
we have people from Rwanda, the Comoros, Mauritius, Nigeria, Ghana, the Gambia, South Africa, Kenya, and including other regional and international organizations like the AU, ECOWAS, SAIDI, Rexa. So we have people from all over 50 delegates are in Liberia coordinate to attend this very important workshop.
Mm. So how important is this? Because domesticating it, yeah, I'm sure it comes with benefits for the state parties that you spoke about. So how important is this to state parties domesticating this armed trade treaty?
So we all know that when firearms are not managed properly, they can be used to cause mayhem, to fuel civil conflicts and all that. So all states, it should be the responsibility of all states to put in place measures to control the trade, because there are laws regulating the production of agricultural goods, however, firearms that are very dangerous. So once states governments got together, governments around the world got together and said we have to have this instrument to that will obligate state parties to come in to develop measures to regulate the transshipment of firearms. States decided that this is very important, but in order for the treaty to work, it have to be promoted. Most states have to be state parties, because you cannot be required to implement the treaty if you're not a state party.
Mm.
So if Liberia signed onto the into the treaty, Sierra Leone also is a state party, but Guinea is not a state party. So Guinea will not be required to implement it. For example, now I'm giving. So if you are a state party, then you are obligated to implement provisions of the treaty. So that is the reason it's important to have more states to be state parties. Then the treaty will actually work.
So, what has been discussed so far during these first 3 days of this workshop? What has been discussed? What are some of the issues that are coming up that you think going to help to, at the end of the day, you say, okay, we met our target and we achieve what we supposed to achieve as part of this, workshop.
But before I proceed, okay, maybe you ask it. The the purpose, one of the reasons of this workshop is to learn from Liberia.
Okay.
Liberia is in the lead. Like I said, we tell big countries in Nigeria that as they're trying to learn how did we domesticate the treaty. So we are sharing our different licenses. We are telling them our successes, the processes. How did we, for instance, to review our laws, we had to hold different stakeholder consultations at different levels. They are learning from us. How did we put in place the national system, meaning that how did we even establish this control system, the commission? How we have a national competent authority like the commission that is supervising the implementation of the treaty. We have focal points, and one of the focal points. So we are teaching people, state parties, you can do this, you can do that. So Liberia is charged with the responsibility to present her experiences during the workshop, and it's a lesson learned workshop. After this workshop, we will develop a lesson learned document with all our different inputs in it. It is not just the successes that we are reporting, we are also reporting challenges so other state parties can learn and not repeat those challenges. Yeah, states are not the same. That's the reason states are encouraged to domesticate or customize a particular instrument. But you can learn and say, okay, Liberia did it this way. I can take one or two from Liberia and refuse the other one because it's not in line with my, what we do in my state. So they are learning the good practices. They are also telling us the challenges, and we are proffering some of our solutions to see whether we can help them. They are also presenting their successes, and we are learning also from them. So yes, so that some of the things we are doing, and that lesson learned document, Liberia will be required to attend the ATT Conference of State Parties that will be here in Geneva in August of this year. That is a very big conference that people from all around the world, state parties from other parts of the world, will be part of. And it's the Conference of State now, 9 Conference of State Parties, and Liberia will present there. The ATT, the head of the ATT Secretariat, is at this workshop now in Liberia. The first time he is attending, participating in an event like this. So this is a very huge event, and states are looking up to Liberia. We are excited and we are proud of the work we are doing at the commission.
Mr. Chair, I want to know, right? Talking about this trade treaty, I know not much or not many people might say, yes, we really know or we understand what this is. Do you think that you need now to do much as part of the work that you people do at the Liberian National Commission on Arms to make sure that Liberians understand it? I'm sure we'll delve into other issues concerning, we talk about single barrel. Recently, there was a debate on who should carry arm and all of that. I'm sure it falls under the purview of the Arms Commission. But understanding this commission, understanding the work it is doing, and understanding like what we discussed now, this trade treaty. Do you think Liberians are abreast about this?
Oh, over the time we have been carrying out series of awareness programs informing our people about arms control, because arms in wrong hands can cause great harm to our land. And as you know, over the time of our election hearing period, there were a whole lot of situations that could easily erupt into a kind of situation that w- we we thought that would be chaotic to the electioneering process.
Okay.
And so we started a program to inform our people that in whatever you do, you must be very careful and use words instead of using weapons, because awareness is very key to keeping our people informed about the arms trade treaty. It is an instrument that once you are a state party and a signatory to that instrument, you must domesticate it to have it implemented to the fullest. So education is very key in this process and is one thing that the commission is very much committed to.
How often do you do your awareness, your education?
Well, like we are now on your
Of
platform,
course.
yeah, we use these opportunities. We also have our social media platform of the commission where we lift most of these informations and spread them out to people around Liberia, within and as well around the world, to understand what the commission is doing in terms of awareness and educating the people about the workings of the commission as it relates to our core mandate.
Mm. And we will talk more about this workshop, but I really want us to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the issue of this arms, in the wrong hand, would the kind of security apparatus to approve would to carry arm in the country, because I'm sure recently there was a debate around some former government officials that were in the possession of firearm, and the debate was that the specific government officials should not be carrying arms and others should be carrying arms. Would you want us to help us to understand today, madam, who are those, right, that are to carry firearms, whether government, in fact, I want to ask first of all whether a private citizen can carry arm, whether register or not.
So the new law that uh, we amended, I want we got inform you that we amended our Firearms Act.
Of course.
There is a provision under the Firearms Act that have exemption for certain category of Liberians to carry firearms, surveillance.
Okay.
But currently, and the commission and the Liberia National Police will be responsible for licensing those surveillance. But we are in a process of developing the administrative regulations that will set fees, fines, penalties, criteria, and a lot before we can even start the process. So now the commission is not licensing any surveillance to own firearms. Once we complete the administrative regulations, we will inform the public that we are ready. But we are careful. We are a commission with our mandate to control firearms. We are not to proliferate the market. So there are criteria. We say under that provision, we say permanent Liberians. Under our regulation, we will state who is a permanent Liberian.
Okay.
So also there we have to also you have to convince us that you need the firearms. So we also have to do background checks. You cannot have criminal records. You cannot and be be somebody who is involved with domestic violence. We also have to make sure you are psychologically correct. I mean, you have your a sound mind and a lot of other things we're going to lay out, because we want to make sure that we give firearms to somebody who will be responsible for the firearms. Because and we will take all your particular, you will be here responsible for any misuse.
So when this regulation is concluded, like you said, yes, we know you will decide who to carry the arm and all of that. But I'm thinking, where will this arm come from before it is licensed, or before it is approved by the LMP to say, okay, this person can carry arm? Would you have to maybe buy it locally? And my question is leading me to the point that will you is there a possibility that you can have a store, say, that will be selling arms in the country? Is it possible?
So in arms control, we say you will have to set up an entire control system.
Okay.
So the control system is putting in place the regulations, licensing a dealer to import and sell firearms in Liberia. So we will put in place all the measures. Of course, we will not want people importing their own firearms. It will be hard for us to track the firearms. We will also not want people bringing firearms to us from the black market. So we will ensure that we have a licensed dealer who will fit all our criteria that we set. We will also periodically inspect the storage facilities. We ensure that they have the capacity, the structure is strong, and we have different guidelines that we set. We want to make sure that we do everything in line with international standards. Arms control, we have different guiding documentations that we go by. So we have the different instruments like the Arms Trade Treaty, like the ECOWAS Convention, that we have to make sure that we implement. Yeah.
And just to add up,
Yeah.
with citizens or private citizens owning guns falls under a condition of special needs. Maybe depending on the kind of job you are doing, or like maybe someone happens to be a judge, and because of your judgment on people for wrongdoings, putting them into jail, and then creating some threat to that particular judge after retirement. Yeah, they could be under that condition endorsed by the vetting committee of the Arms Commission, which comprises all of our board members that comes from the security sector.
Okay.
Yeah, once you go through and see the need for that, of course, you can obtain. And some people have proximity to the chief executive. So by some reason of the chief executive, if they do authorize and arm for said person that is within their reach for some security reason, obviously those things happen. But it is not, right for people to own arms privately, because it could lead to a lot of things. Yeah.
So the chief executive can make a request and say, okay, I have this my crony. I think this person deserves a firearm, and that way that person can be given because of the request.
Yeah, that is something that once the chief executive calls for that, it can work.
But that person will have to go through
the process.
Yeah.
So the
mentally ensure that person is sound.
Upright.
Okay.
Make sure their temperament is in place, and the Arms Commission, even with the authorization of the chief executive, if the Arms Commission through its vetting committee doesn't deem it fit for that person to carry on, obviously they won't.
Okay.
So these are some of the powers that we have as a commission.
So let me come in a little bit.
Okay.
For state security officers and officials, except you are applying as a private citizen, the commission is not responsible to grant officers of state security agencies and officials of other branches of government. No, it is not. The different agencies have their different SOPs, the standard operating procedures on who they give firearms. I know the police will train you, and you will be authorized, because not every officer in the state security agencies that are authorized on firearms.
Sure.
So, but they have their different procedures, and you're working along with us. We make sure we inspect the armories, we make sure their firearms are marked. And once any firearms are missing, they have to report to us, because we have in our database that we're tracking. So yeah, they have their own. So they will assess their officers, of course, in line with their own, because they are independent. We are just working along with them, coordinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you're listening to the Bumper Show. We're talking about arms. We have the executive director of Liberia National Commission on Arms, Mrs. Vivian Dubway. We also have James Kokochie. He's the Communication and Outreach Associate there at the Liberia National Commission on Arms. We are talking about a 4-day, arm trade treaty workshop that is happening in the country, and that is to conclude tomorrow. But we are also going into other issues concerning in the country. So we will have your participation as usual. So don't go away. Keep listening to the program. I want us to talk a little bit about this issue of single barrel, because single barrel ends up in the hands of mainly hunters. And I know I was fortunate to talk to the former head of the Arms Commission, who spoke about, lengthily spoke about the issue of a single barrel, how one can acquire it, and how you need to do regular registration and all of that. So is the registration period on now, or we've exceeded the registration period for the single barrel guns?
So when you say single barrels in Liberia, I know there are two different kinds of single
The
barrels.
pistol and the long range.
Yeah. So the pistol or the artisanal weapon, the way we will classify them, the local manufacturer one, they are illegal. Those ones are illegal, the short ones.
The pistols.
Yes. Because they are even dangerous to the user, so they are illegal under our laws. So in our Firearms Act,
So no one's supposed to carry them.
no, they are illegal. So the commission will not even register the kind of firearms.
So if you know somebody was with one of them, you can report that person.
Yeah, of course. So
Okay.
we'll just retrieve those firearms. So we have a lot of those seized firearms stored. So usually we'll have public destruction exercises where we'll publicly destroy the firearms. So they are illegal.
Okay.
But under the law, we say the shorter fire, the shorter, the long one,
Yeah.
shorter fire single barrel gun, that long one, they are the ones for hunters. But you cannot be here only in the studio and tell me if you I'm a hunter. But because we have to talk to your communities. You have to be somewhere that you can prove that you are actually hunting with those guns. Because the people use those guns to terrorize other people. So you got to prove to us that you're a hunter, and we will do our background check. Then you will come to the commission and make an application. We'll give you the form, you fill it in, you come with 2 passport size picture, you will pay $50 for permits, then you will pay another $50 non-refundable for the license. We will send our work along with the police and the technical committee on arms, comprising security technicians from NSA and other places that will do background check on you, making sure that you're actually a hunter. And then after that, we will train you, because you will say, oh, I've been hunting ever since. But you will have to do some competence training now to make sure that you actually can shoot the gun. Because we will have to inspect, because you have storage, very important, because there's been some reports that people will just carelessly place guns around and children will take them, or even other people will take them and misuse the firearms. So I will inspect the thing, and you will have to renew your license annually. Yeah.
So where do you get the single barrel from? Is it so here, or you have to buy it elsewhere and bring it for registration and licensing and all of that?
So in 2020, we started registration of single barrel guns. Then the coronavirus came, then we paused it. Up to now, we stopped now. But before, we were just registering because we know they are hunters. People get guns. So we wanted to actually get data. Because it's important to know how many guns we even get in the country. So we started registering. We went to a few counties. We went to Bapolu, we went to Grand Cape Man, we went to Bomi and other places to encourage hunters to register their firearms. Then once we got the coronavirus, we stopped the event. Then we are hoping to start once we complete the regulation. Because the regulation will also set fees and penalties for hunters. Then we'll encourage hunters to come and register the firearms.
So meaning that there is a store here now that you can walk to and purchase a single barrel, because I'm sure you doing the registration and the licensing, but then this person will have to present the arms. So are you also concerned that, yes, of course, this man this hunter needs to register his single barrel, but are you concerned where you got it from.
No, not now. Not before when we started, because the thing are coming to Coco, you're coming. Because we already know the existing firearms in hands of people. And because one of the reasons we left the hunting in the law that people can hunt, because it's for livelihood. A lot of people hunt to feed their families and themselves. So we said this is another form of livelihood. We will leave it in our law, and we know that people have single barrels gun, but it have to be the one that we qualified in the law. So once you have the shoulder firearm, we say come, we give a window. There was a proclamation that the former president gave that okay, we say you can come and bring your guns and register it, and we'll take. But we don't have a dealer now.
Okay.
We were working on that, and hopefully we will have a dealer soon and will inform the public.
So meaning that these guns that are already in the hands of hunters, they probably got it from somewhere else, bought it from another country, and they are bringing it into the country.
Yeah. Just to throw some light, when we had this pilot project, to register surveillance arms, especially for hunters, we realized that most of the hunters inherited those rifles from their parents. Like father being a hunter and have reached it, the age of retirement, then hand the gun over to his son. That son too reaches retirement, and then pass the arm on to the next in line. So these are some of the cases that we were able to have people telling us about their story in terms of inheritance when it comes to firearms, especially hunters. So most of the people inherited those guns from
generational single barrel. Okay. All right. So you want to be a part of the program? You listening to us? You can call us on 077-835-862, 077-835-862, 080-514-096, 080-514-096. The numbers to call again: 080-514-096, 077-835-862. Mrs. Vivian Dubwe is the Executive Director of Liberia National Commission on Arms. She's here as one of our guests. James Kokochie, the Communication Outreach Associate at the Liberia National Commission on Arms, is also here. So let's go to the phone line and take this person. Hello? Okay, that person left the line. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. This is Honorable Thomas K. Colley, IT Chairperson of the Arms Commission.
Okay.
Yeah, so this should be nice to you, but due to some circumstances, I would admit it, and ask my Executive Director and my outreach officer to be in there to give the public some information that they need to know.
Okay.
Yeah, just to weigh in on the workshop, as my Executive Director said earlier on, this workshop is to educate other police that come who did not have the opportunity to understand what the ATP is all about. So there's a lesson learned for them, because Liberia have been the first country that have domesticated the ATT, into our law. So based on that, we went to Geneva and we have that arrangement with the ATT Secretariat. So they choose Liberia to host this Moravia workshop, where they invited almost every country on the continent of Africa to come to Liberia and have a lesson learned, about the ATP, so that when they get back home, they can be able to share that with their government, and then they can see how best they can sign up to this treaty to have us control conventional weapons coming into our country. Okay. And how are you asking about surveillance possession of firearms?
Of course.
Qualified to take arms. The first thing first, under our law, we have special needs. We have special needs, and in that regulation, there will be people who will be qualified to carry firearms. Not everybody. One, two, those people that have special needs. We're looking at maybe the judges.
Yeah, it just said that.
Yeah, you can look at other permanent citizens of the country. You look at business people. You look at prosecutors like the police. You have R1 and other people there, like the director. They go on case. Sometimes they arrest people, prosecute them. They investigating cases. After retirement, maybe they feel that their life is threatened by those same criminals that have been in prison and served their time and came back out. And also those people then, based on all of those information that we're going to gather, we give those people the proper permission on our law to carry arms to protect themselves, in the absence of the police or in the absence of security apparatus. Okay.
All right.
And the issue about surveillance registration of arms, the single barrel guns, as she said earlier on, it is legal under our law. And to say that people bringing single barrel in the country, for me, I don't think it is necessary, because once the police catch you to the border, that's smuggling. You can be arrested for that and prosecuted. Okay, so no one should bring gun in the country, in the form of smuggling.
But the country, the gunshots can come in the country, right?
We have arrested so many of those things. From LRA have arrested most
Is it illegal? Is it illegal because the arm is in the hand of the hunter? The hunter is not producing the shots in the country. How will he get the gunshots to go hunting?
And that's the reason why before you bring those things in, you have a license to trade them.
Okay.
And once you don't have a license to trade them, it's illegal. And that's the reason why when customs get to you, they arrest you. And customs have arrested so many people, women who have been involved in trading single barrel gunshots.
Do we have people who are licensed to bring in single barrel gunshots?
No, they have not applied. They have not been licensed, and now are making it illegal. Because if you want to get into that business, you must come to the Arms Commission and obtain the information on how you can get license to import or to deal or shot or single barrel shot. Once you don't do that, and then you come at the border or any entry or any port entry, you'll be arrested and those shots will be confiscated. You'll be prosecuted. Okay, so just to let the public know, you don't have the right to bring shots in the country. It should be done legally. You should have documentation so that when you bring in those business in the country, customs are aware. And you go pay your fair share of the duties of government, and then you come in with no smuggling. But once you intend to hide it and smuggle it, when customs arrest you, you'll be prosecuted. And they have done well. I want to appreciate customs because they're working in line with the Arms Commission. They have arrested a lot of illegal business people who brought in single barrel gunshot, and it was confiscated. It's now turned over to the Arms Commission. It's kept in our public armory.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to give the public sensitive information.
Okay.
We will be starting the surveillance and registration in terms of the single barrel. Sooner or later, we have that announcement done, and then the public will know. We start with a few counties because we're lacking logistics and manpower. So once those things are settled with, we have our officers going on the field to carry out the surveillance and registration, especially the single barrel hunting guns. Okay. That will be done. And then when it comes to the military style weapon, right after the regulation has been formulated and it's been okay and satisfied, we pass on it. We're going to have surveillance possessing military style weapon, 9mm pistol. We'll be issuing the guns to surveillance because the law says we should do that, but those surveillance will be people who have special needs.
Okay.
Don't forget, special needs.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your contribution. Let's hear from another person here. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm Tawo Tika calling from Johnsonville.
Yes, let's hear from you.
I want to suggest to our people out there, when it comes to the firearm, more especially the hunters, there should be age limit.
There should be age limit for a hunter?
Yeah, what I'm saying is this. Most of what we listen to people here, basically, we put up on rural counties, and you always hear that somebody made a mistake, they fire the person. These are people, they are not professional. For example, what she was saying, they were people who are inheriting guns from their parents. They are not real hunters. It's not because you go, you fire here and there, that you are a hunter, no.
They get school for hunting, or the men have been following the puppy and being seen what they've been doing.
Yeah, that's true, but that is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sometimes when you enter the forest, there's a way in which people do their hunting.
Okay.
That's when you walk behind your father, then you start where not going. So all those things when you are there, really the coin is registered, but it's an age limit. Who sold when that coin?
All right. All right.
Sometimes when you don't do it, I the coin is registered. I found the sign. I enter the account to myself. I can see the coin registered. I can use it anytime.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And I want to know, right? Because you spoke about, someone needs to be mentally sound before they can carry firearm. Once the registration starts, that civilian can handle, the weapon, then you will be looking at all of these things. Is it the same with a hunter? A hunter needs to go through all of that, maybe vetting. You go to his community and ask about his behavior, his temperament being tested, and all of that. Is it what happens when you are doing the same for hunters?
Yes, yes. So we go to the community and make sure that you are not a convicted criminal. We check your record, we do background check. And the thing the court spoke about, once a firearms is registered to your name, it's for you. You give it to somebody who misuse it. We will hold you accountable for that. And for somebody to come and request for registration, we have an age limit. You have to be 21 years old. You can't just come and because your father died and you 16 years and you bring your firearms, you're not going
Okay.
to register it yet.
Okay.
So we
So
have
you
a
have to
whole
be.
system. So yeah.
Yeah, madam, I'm concerned because this issue of the single barrel again, especially when your one of your colleague just called and talk about the issue of the gunshot that I was asking about. The gun is in the hands of these hunters. We are not making the shots here. Yes, he said that people try to smuggle them. They have been arrested, but yet there is nobody registered in the country to deal in single barrel gunshots. Isn't that dangerous? Don't you think it will just increase the black market for single barrel gunshots?
We are working to ensure that we have a licensed dealer, like I said.
Mm.
So we are working on that. Uh, the thing about we have to make applications, send people have to apply. We have to assess your capacity. To we also have to know where you're taking those shots from. We have to make sure that it is not from another black market and you just come in. So we also have to make sure that you have the requisite storage facility in line with standards, with our own standards that we have set on the books. So it will take a little time, but we are working on that.
Mm.
And like I informed you earlier, we are not registering anybody now. We know there are hunters out there who are still hunting, but we are not registering
So men
anybody.
again shoot more than I don't know how many shots in one day. Yeah. So yeah, you can say they gone the man, father left with him years back. The few shots that are left with him, the men stay using it. So that is my thinking about that anyway.
I mean, the fact that the commission even is trying to make sure that we register the firearms to know, because they would for centuries, for years, these are firearms been in the hands of
Of course.
Liberians. We
Mm,
know.
mm.
We all love to eat dry meat, but they know there are people hunting the meat in our forests. We know that. But the
Yeah.
commission said no. What we're going to do now, we know Liberians are hunting, but we want to have record, want to have data. For instance, we can say there are 5,000 hunters in the forest in Bapolu
Okay.
or in River G. So we want to have that data, then we can be able to monitor. Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear from this person. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Brother Samson Peter Domain, personally calling from Duporo.
Welcome, Samson, and make your point.
Yeah. Yeah, the point of firearm, see, it will be fine. No, you are asking, somebody will ask you a question there. Will there be a feminine soul that will born out there, identical, going issue with the party? And I don't get a clarity from the individual or institute.
Yeah, but it will look far for there. Let there be a Pacific area.
Okay, he left the line, but I think Madam Dogby responded to that when I asked about the issue of whether there will be a store for the sale of that, and that will be part of what they're working on, according to her. So once all of these things come in place, you will have a store where you can go to, and you should have a special need now, like you heard. You probably must be, someone who should be in a position to request the arm, because not only that you should have the special needs, but you will have to go through some vetting in order to have the arm landed in your hands. So it's not just about, you go in having the special need, but you have so much to go through. So how soon do we expect all of these things to be in place? I know it's a process, and probably you don't have to put your finger on a time to say at this time, but how speedy is the process now as we speak?
We are hoping that by the middle part of this year, we will have everything in place,
Okay.
because we already started working on the administrative regulations. We hired two consultants, a technical and legal consultant who's working on the documents. We have had some stakeholders consultations with civil society and different actors to review the document and make input, because we wanted be uh, to be everybody to have some input in it, different groups in the country to have some input. So we've been working on that. The registration of firearms is also one of our core mandate. So we that's something we are working on, and to ensure that we continue.
Okay. All right. So we don't have
Can we
much time
move to
now.
our workshop?
Yeah. I want us to go back to the workshop, because we have said so much about the issue of arms, and I know tomorrow you will be concluding. So, upon your conclusion, I know there will be a document, like you said, that will come out of this, and it will be presented at some international conference to come later. But are there more of what you are looking for from this conference?
Yes, this conference, I've given Liberia the platform and the opportunity to attract more donor support.
Mm.
In fact, the AU that is present, by one of its senior officials, have pledged that body support to Liberia. There are a lot of goodwill coming from other international partners. The thing about being a responsible government is to make sure that you meet up with your international obligations. You go and sign on to an international treaty, and to domesticate it, you have to ensure that you implement that treaty. So Liberia is doing just that. We must be very proud of ourselves. We have told the world that we are committed to protecting our peace and security. As a post-conflict nation, Liberia is a torchbearer now for peace and security through arms control. The Arms Commission is working effectively. We have a strong team of technicians. They are working, and I mean, this event, to put it off, yeah, we did very well. We are proud of ourselves.
Mm. All right. So, anything finally from your end? Because I'm sure you need to go and get ready for tomorrow closure. So, I will take your parting comments now as we wind down the program. Let me start with you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we want to thank our government for giving us the support, and we also want to thank the commission team and the commissioner in charge for giving us the opportunity to come here to represent the Liberia National Commission on Arms. And we want to say thank you ever so much for hosting us. And we want the public to know that Liberia is in a leading role in terms of implementing the Arms Trade Treaty. And we want our people to know that those treaties are being domesticated within our Firearms Act. And so we will always come out to inform them about what the Commission is doing. And Liberia is making the necessary headways when it comes to championing peace and security on the continent of Africa, as well as, in partnership with the rest of the world that are in the line of security. So we are very grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Dogby.
So first, I want to say thank you for inviting us here. It is an opportunity that we really take kind of, and I want to extend our gratitude to His Excellency President Jose Yuman Boakai for his commitment to peace and security. It's very important in order for development to come. We must protect our peace and control arms because arms will fuel conflict. So I also want to, on behalf of the acting chairman, Honorable Thomas Colley, and myself as head of the technical secretariat running the affairs of the commission, we want to say thanks to our team at the commission. We have a group of technicians and we are proud of ourselves. We also want to extend thanks and appreciation to the ATT secretariat represented by its head, he was here attending this program, for granting Liberia the opportunity to host and organize this important workshop. And yeah, so we know that we meet our goal and encourage more countries to sign on and implement the Arms Trade Treaty.
Okay, Mrs. Vivian Dogby is the Executive Director, Liberia National Commission on Arms. Earlier, you heard James Koko Chie, Communication and Outreach Associate at the Liberia National Commission on Arms. They both been here on this last segment of the Bumper Show, talking about a workshop that is currently ongoing in the country to be concluded tomorrow, and it's about the Arms Trade Treaty that Liberia is currently hosting. So let me say thank you also for responding to our invite, and wish you all of the best, and wish all of your guests, your delegates, all of the best as they travel back home from tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jeff.
very much.
And on that note, that's how we end this edition of the Bumper Show. Many thanks to all of you out there for playing the listening role. Tomorrow, join us here again. Another edition of the program will be live on your radio here. But on behalf of the entire team, Anthony Williams been here today on the social media side. Let me say thank you, and many thanks to all of you for following. Till tomorrow, my name is Jarp Davies. Have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye bye for now.